I've tried and I've tried and I've tried. And the other windscreen wiper motor came out okay. That one, the bolt is so rounded on it. Whoever's messed around with it before has just rounded it off to the point where I can't get anything to grip it. So I hate to do stuff like this, but it's time to break out the grinder. It's the first time I've had to do any grinding to get anything off. I don't like to destroy things. I like old stuff. I might be replacing this with new stuff, but I'm not going to destroy it for the sake of destroying it. But I've got to get it out. It won't come out any other way. And the cable, I'll explain in a minute. It's quite a cool way of doing it, actually. I never thought that was how windscreen wipers worked back in the day, and I'll show you in a few minutes, hopefully. But I need to cut this off. I think it doesn't go without saying that when you do use power tools and stuff like this, just put some goggles on. Amazingly, at this point, my microphone's run out of battery and I haven't realised it, so I'm going to do a bit of a voiceover for you. So I managed to cut that piece off in the end with the grinder. It was a bit of a tricky angle to try and get to, but I managed to do it. That's the feed cable that's going in. That's attached to the windscreen wiper motor, which is just a wire with some like gears cut into it. And if you see that round cog there, that's attached to the windscreen wiper itself. So the motor goes around and pushes that wire backwards and forwards, which turns the cock, which makes the windscreen wiper work, which is ingenious, really. I didn't think that it would work like that, and I was really quite happy to find something like that because it's not how I expected it to be. It's completely seized. I can't pull it out. So unfortunately, the grinder comes back out and I've got to cut it out in stages. So that's the motor, which has obviously a cog inside it, which turns, which must have an arm on a hinge inside the housing, which pushes and then pulls as it spins around. So it pushes that wire and then pulls it back as it spins around the other way, which pushes and pulls that little geared wire, which turns the cogs, which make the windscreen wipers work. Brilliant. This running strip was an absolute pain in the backside to get off. The screws are underneath at the back of the dashboard, pointing into the running piece. It was horrible to get off. I'm glad it's off. It was rotten. It was horrible. It was smelly. So I'm happy that that was out. Finally, really seem to be making some progress. Engine out tomorrow, pedal box out tomorrow, chase those lines through. Steering column is an easy enough job to get out as well, but want to leave that in, as I've mentioned a couple of times before. Gearbox coming straight out, handbrake will be coming out. Wiring loom is okay, just need to chase that one wire that's going down into the engine bay. The rear of the wiring loom is there. I'm going to have it's going through the bodywork there, so I'm going to try and get to that, try and whip that out, and then if the shroud comes off and the wings, happy days. If they don't, then they're going to get eaten. Okay, I'm going to move some boxes and have a little play around here. I really don't have a lot of room at the back to play with, as you can see. Not room at all, so want to get all that off, start getting the rest of it to bits, and then virtually there. So all we've got then is front and rear axle, suspension, wheels. We want to leave all that on just in case that big boy don't want to come out. Or I can't get it out with my hoist and enough space on it. But we'll burn that bridge when we get to it, as usual. Okay, lights are out, reversing lights that were never wired in, or were at one point, I expect, when it left the factory, but all the rear lights are done, boot lids done and out. Tomorrow morning, gonna get that nasty bumper off, get the fuel cap, the fuel hose, the fuel tank off. I've got to nip round somewhere and get a little drill siphon, I think, because I've got some fuel left in the tank, I'm pretty sure of that. So I want to get that out and stored. Rear wiring loom is out and labelled. There's the rest of it. A cardboard box. So everything's out. It's ready to come out, apart from there's this one cable, which I think is the main earthing cable to the car. It's here. It's this one. So I need to trace where that goes under the car. I can't see anything down there moving. The camera's not going to focus on it. So that's not going to be a big job in the morning. And then engine's coming out. And that's a big milestone, isn't it? So, but yeah, I think my rear shroud's knackered. Looking at it going in, I don't think there's a way that I can unbolt it, like the front wings and stuff. I thought there might have been at some point, but I can't see anything down here that might allow me to unbolt anything. But we'll see. They need to come off. I want to figure something out on how to get my cross braces in from one side to the other. I want to see if I can think of a clever way of doing it, or do I just bring it in, tack weld it there. I don't know. If we just weld the angle on there and then just weld it on here somewhere. But that's knackered anyway. I mean, I don't know how much of that I'm going to get. Do I send it in with the sill still attached? I don't know. I need a good chat with someone at the car club. Can't wait for our first meeting of the year. So I'm looking forward to it. And I might have to call in some big guns and see if they can give me one little push on with some of the slightly more complicated bits. But I think I'm pretty much there, to be honest. Done most of it myself. Really happy with that. Managed to get all that out. It's labelled as best it can be as to what it was all plugged into. None of it ever worked. So personally, I don't know if they're the right plugs. That's just whoever's done that, just absolutely no pride in their work whatsoever. We'll see. I'm definitely going to keep it and put it on a board, so it's all labelled up now and everything know roughly what everything is. So yeah, okay. Well, that's me for tonight. I was going to say I'm going to have a tidy up, but really, honestly, truthfully, I'm not. I can have a tidy up in the morning. That's the thing about having such a small place to work in. There's just not a lot of stuff there at all. Not a lot of space for me. Doors are in the corner over there as well. I still need to strip them down. But they're a little quick job I can do one evening after work or something, because I want to get the doors. The doors come with a dip in, so hey ho, another day done with, and that's me. I've had enough. I'm going in for a cup of tea and wash my hands Remember I said I really don't like wearing gloves? Right guys, welcome back. I've took the 2 gearbox mounts out. I've done the engine mounts, but can you see up there, look? I've got to get them off. Now because I'm a kind of blokey bloke and I don't read instruction manuals, I haven't took the handbrake off yet, as the manual suggests. The car's up on stands, so that would normally spin at the moment, but because I'm a blokey bloke and don't read instructions, I've put the handbrake on and the prop shaft won't turn, which is quite clever. I'm quite happy with that. So I'm going to get these off, and then I think we're ready to get the big guns out and get this engine out of the bay with the gearbox attached. See you in a bit. There we go. It's took quite a lot of playing, but my advice to everybody who's going to do this and get their engine out with the gearbox attached, get that lovely crowbar, get one of them, because yeah, this was a horrible job. It's took us, it's 3:45 now. We've been on it since about 11 o'clock this morning, so it's not a nice job. It's the horriblest job, and it's done and it's out of the way. Yeah. One small step for restoration, one giant leap for me. After last night, we pulled a bit of a late one. Unfortunately, we didn't get a lot of footage because all the cameras on that were dead. But as you can see, the engine's now out. I did break the intake manifold when we took the engine out, but I can't get to the other nuts and bolts. I'm going to try and get to them ones down there, so then we can just take the pipe off and then pull the manifold through. Steering rack was alright, that was alright. All we did was we undid it and then literally pulled it through and pulled it out in the cockpit. Wheels are off, brake calipers are off, and we just got to get the front suspension off now, which shouldn't be too much of a difficult thing. Pedal box is coming out this morning. All the brakes have been bled now that we don't need to get to anything that turns, that we can put the brakes on or whatnot. So that should be a nice simple job. Everything's drained. Inside the car at the moment, there's still that wiring loom. It's all completely disconnected. I've just got nowhere to put anything at the moment. So there's cardboard boxes full of stuff. The boot is full of stuff. There's the steering column that we pulled out. Back wheels are off. So all we're going to do now is we're going to disconnect the prop shaft from the diff, move the axle stands to the sills, and then we're just going to take the leaf springs off, drop the whole thing out wholesale, and we can take it apart later or leave it as it is for now. So when we're constructing our new rear suspension for the car, we can use this as a template and figure out a good system that we can use. So all in all, the only other thing at the back of the car that needs to be taken off is the fuel tank, which is now completely empty as well. So it's not going to take us that long today, I don't think. I think we'll have most of it done in a couple of hours. I was so wrong. So wrong. Use around. Fuel tank's all disconnected. So we're doing pretty well. And I think me and Kynan today, we're going to get this done. We wouldn't. We really wouldn't get it done. I want to break the welder out as well. Get them clips off. Get the cross brace in there. Just to be on the safe side. I mean, it might come back that nothing's held together and my welds were crap, but I don't really want the car to go folding in the dipping tank as the acid eats away at all the rust, which probably holding it all together. That, and there's several coats of paint that the car's currently sporting as well. And we're going to get cracking, and we'll speak to you guys in a bit. Main housing of the pedal box come away quite nicely. Feed for the front brake line came off quite nice. That is so seized. I've rounded the bolt a little bit, so it's the third thing I've had to cut now with the grinder. Not too bad, I suppose. Number of things that I can't get apart. So all I've got to do now, I think, is take those two return springs off, and the box should, in theory, just lift out. And then the accelerator pedal, there's a bolt, there's two bolts, and that lever arm there, which is attached to the throttle cable, which obviously is all disconnected and whatnot, but they've got to come out. So yeah, getting there, really making progress today, and that's what it's all about. So one of the final jobs now in stripping the car is removing this back axle and diff and suspension. If you look at the back there, I've disconnected the drive shaft from the diff, and then what my plan is these U-bolts here, those two, I've disconnected both of those, and then my plan is to take away the leaf springs, and then with a bit of luck the axle should be held by these strap things here, assuming they don't break. I'm only doing this because I'm not the smallest of chaps, and I might have to get underneath the car to do it, and I want to try and limit the amount of weight that I've got on me at the time. So yeah, we'll start taking it apart piece by piece. If it doesn't come that nicely, the car's virtually empty now, so I could flip it on its side. Welcome to the underside of the back of the car, where, unfortunately I can't zoom out anymore with the light on, where I've just managed to remove the rear axle, the rear suspension. The drive shaft is loose, that's ready to come out. Handbrake cable, I've just cut that because it's just too much hassle right now. I can't get to the handbrake assembly on my own because all the bolts are spinning, and I haven't got long enough arms to reach from that tiny little hole just there. That's focusing on my finger. That tiny little square hole there, to reach all the way around up the side of the car into the footwell to hold a spanner on it. So I need a hand on that. The brake line as well, I've cut that because it's just in my face and I don't know what I'm doing with this. I'm so close, and it's these last little bits that are just, yeah, that doesn't fit any known size socket, so I'm going to grind that off. And then the brake line can come out. It's all disconnected all the way down, so that can be done. That needs grinding off. That just needs pulling out. That is actually welded on the other side. Again, it looks like Frankenstein's monster under the driver's side wheel arch. I'll show you in a few minutes. But it's disgusting. I think half of this car, if I get it back, if I get the bit back that looks crap, I'll just end up probably cutting it all off and restarting all of that. But progress is being made. We're so close, so close. So this is where the rear shock absorber was mounted. I don't know how well you can see this or how well it's going to come out, but there, I don't know if you can see that, but the nut is actually welded in where it's been, I don't know, welded in 300 different times. That's the underside of the wheel arch. It's disgusting. So I just kept going away, cutting away with the grinder, and eventually the shock absorber dropped off. But you can actually still see the profile of the nut in there. So there's a bit of it still in there. Hopefully, when the car goes in, all of this rubbish and crap up here, along with the rest of it all over the car itself, that'll all disappear, and might be able to actually fix that, but might not. So it's, I don't know, one of them. But yeah, we're getting there. Look, let me get back under. Not a lot of space to work with. Oh. So yeah, this is the driver's side, as promised. That looks nice, doesn't it? It's just falling apart. That's where the fuel tank was. Inside of the wheel arch just doesn't look as bad as it does there. That's just horrible. And then back under, I've pulled the prop shaft out. All I've got to do now on the back here is I've got a tiny little clip there, if you can see it, and I've just got that to take off that handbrake. But I'm not entirely sure how to do it. So it's not coming into focus, which is brilliant. Is that it? No, that's not it. Yeah, clever technology. There we go. Not 100% sure on that one. Gonna get in there and have a look. See if I can wedge a spanner in so I can actually get the handbrake out. And then I'm not sure. I might just cut that cable and then just pull it out the other end. There are some bolts in there. See if I can get around them. The only problem is I haven't got two Imperial spanner kits. I've just got one. So I'm going to have a problem with this. Well, I finally got it off. A little bit of the old Jeremy Clarkson school of mechanics, but it's off. First look down the transmission tunnel. Not very nice. Look at the floor. No, it won't focus. Absolutely full of just rust that's fell off everywhere. Brilliant. Oh well, it won't look like that in a couple of weeks. I'll tell you that now for free. I have finally got the handbrake out completely. Lots of bolts that just kept turning and turning and turning. But with a little bit of help from an angle grinder, I got there in the end. So that's another job ticked off. And guess what? I'm so close. Obviously I've got to clean up a little bit, take all the brackets and stuff off, but all I've got now is like just some brake dampers. Another one there, stuck as anything, but I'm going to try and get them off. So everything's all disconnected down here. There's a little clip there that nobody in the world can ever see because of all the... It's just there. But you can't see it because there's that much crap on the inside of the car. I'm so close. So close. All that's ready to come away. Just that really. And that. And yeah, I'm going to crack on. The end is in sight. After a couple of weeks of hard work, we're ready to declare final victory on stripping the car. Apart from the front fairing, which I can't get off. It's all welded up on the right hand side. Yeah, everything else is looking okay. There's probably a few rubber seals and a few clips that need taking off, but as far as I'm concerned now, everything everything bar one of the most important bits is done, and that's to remove the chassis plate. So I'm going to get on with that now. I'm going to get a nice little metal drill bit, drill through the rivets, and then hopefully the tag will just pop straight off. That actually worked really well. So there's my plate, just drilled straight through it. I used a 3mm metal bit, and then yeah, all done. Just used a little cordless drill. Brilliant. Didn't drill too fast, nice and steady with the metal bit. Yeah, pretty good. So yep, I'm gonna go and have a beer now. Cheers, and hopefully when you see this, the car will be at the Dippers. So that's it. Just got to clear everything out, tidy it all up. Any little rubber washers or anything, or clips that are still on it, just take them off. But every major component's off the car now. 99.9% of all the smaller components are now out of the car. I don't know where half of this came from. I mean, if you look in that corner, look, there's bloody plasterboard screws there. God knows. That's the problem with little cars like this. Mine's a really late one. Some of them are early 60s, and they've had, what, 60 years of people bodging the cars. Wonder how much of it we're going to get back. Had to cut that out there. There's nothing I could do about it. The other one came out absolutely fine, but that's the problem, I suppose, with these old cars. Front fairing can't come off. Hopefully it will fall off at the Dippers, and yeah, I don't really want it back if it does, so that'll foul anyway on the new bonnet, I think, so we'll be getting rid of that. Won't need it anyway, because we're not supporting great big flipping rubber bumpers. They're never going back on it. It's never going to need an ordinary bonnet catch again, so I'm pretty sure the front fairing can just disappear. Some of the other little bits that I wanted to get off actually turned out to be part of the body, part of the shell, like that piece there that goes underneath the windscreen, and the rear shroud. That's all welded together. I would have liked to have got them off, but if it's part of the car, it's part of the car. See what comes back, cut out, repair. If the back rear shroud's knackered when it comes back, then I'll just cut it all off and buy a new one. And then all I've got really is them metal strips along the sides and the sill plugs. So other than that, I'm done. We're done. And we'll see it when we get some of it back. And hopefully we'll see you at the resto show at the NEC. See you later, guys. It's finally time. It's the 12th of Feb, and we're about to go into the great beyond for a lovely acid bath. See how much of this baby we get back. There we go. It's all strapped up, ready to go. I'm going to chase it down the M5, and we're going to film it coming off the trailer, but there she goes. Wonder how much of it we're going to get back. This is as far as they'd let me film. I did get a tour inside, but they wouldn't let me film inside for health and safety purposes and risk assessments and all that. But I did get a tour inside. I got a good view of their process, and it was really interesting. And with a bit of luck, we'll find out more about it in the future.